Hi everybody, it's Annette from The Art of Intuition, and today we are going to talk about words we normally don't use on this channel, but we're going to talk about right and wrong, when things are very black or very white, very linear. We're going to dive into why our human goes to that and when our human goes to that. So it's funny, you're going to find that. Also, I'm filming with some stuffed animals today, so they're my special guest today because I forgot to move them. So we're not going to start again. So it's just going to be how we go. You're going to find that sometimes when you are working through a program or you are trying to decode something, you're going to get a lot of messages through songs. And I've talked a lot about songs on this channel before. Ones that you never hear, and then all of a sudden, or some that you might have heard, but it's a snippet and you haven't thought of it in a long time, and all of a sudden it's just playing constantly in your head. I've had so many that do that for me. Like, so many will just start playing. I know, like Splish Splash, I was taking a bath. That one would start playing in my head when I was really in my mermaid energy, and it kind of told me to, if you really want to get with that aspect, get in the tub. Get yourself in a body of water to really integrate in that aspect. And there's so many fun songs we get, right? What's the other one? A Whole New World's a big one for a lot of us. Like, you'll get that when you start getting into the fifth dimensional. You'll just start hearing that all the time. But you can hear it outside, and sometimes different songs outside. When we have a lot of guest stars today, a lot of guest stars, even the cat. When you're going into the fifth dimension, that'll be a big song for a lot of us. Don't chew the cords. Don't chew the cords. Go on. I'm filming. I don't want to start again. So when you're going into the fifth dimension, you're going to hear a lot. And for a while, they'll be outside, but then they're very much going to be inside of you, right? And some songs are fun. Some songs you'll hear and you might not understand why you hear it. It might just be a song you hear. I grew up, in the late 70s, early 80s. So a lot of the heavy hairband metal is what I'll hear quite a bit. So I'll kind of get into that music, and I'll hear something like, oh, Poison song I haven't heard in a long time, and I'll just go play it. So a lot of times go play the songs. But this morning for me, the only song I could hear was, I think it's an Alabama song. Why does it have to be right or wrong? Why does it have to be black or white? I think that's an Alabama song. It might not be. It might be a oh gosh, I can't think of the other one. Statler Brothers. Showing my deep resonation with music, but it could be that one too. I can't really remember. I didn't look this one up because I wanted to get on and film earlier today. But the thing that kept going through my mind was why does it have to be black or white? So that is the long explanation, if the cat will actually let us film today, a long explanation on why we're going to talk about that. So, okay. Our human aspect is always going to want to go the easy route, right? And now there's a lot of reasons for that. The human aspect doesn't have the vision to see more than right or wrong. It doesn't have the vision to see but one thing. So when we're trying to decode something, when we're trying to really get to what's going on and why we're trying to do something, we can't see it all. We talk a lot about aligning realities. We talk a lot about trying to figure out what's soul aligned, what's not soul aligned. I talk a lot about my videos, and years ago they were a lot shorter because I couldn't see as many sides of it. You can only see one side. And when you're really in your human aspect, or if you're wondering, sometimes we're trying to figure out, am I? Or once we kind of figure ourselves out, we look at someone else and go, what aspect are they showing me right now? So people are going to show you different aspects. Our job is really to decode what aspect we have in front of us and what aspect we are. And when you hear words right or wrong, good or bad, if something's black or white, there's no shades of gray. That's a very human programming. That is the human aspect talking to you. Whether we're doing it or someone is doing it back to us, that's what that is. There's no other aspect that does that. It might be different shades of the human aspect in a sense, but it's still our human aspect. because it can't see the difference. It can't see it, and it doesn't want to. And you can also feel the resistance when you are into that it's this way or that way. And I know the one reason for me this song is playing this morning is because I'm dealing with something that I kind of feel entrenched on, and my human ego is coming into it quite a bit because I'm entrenched on it. And because I'm entrenched on it, and maybe if I didn't know I was so entrenched on it, I hear that song. And now I'm like, yeah, okay, I know that's for me, and I know I'm entrenched on this right now. So I'm gonna have to look at it a different way. I'm gonna have to see, why am I? Why does it have to be one way or the other? Why do I want it to be this, I'm right and they're wrong? Because technically that's not ever going to be true. And we talk a lot about truth changing in different dimensions. You're going to see a different truth. You're going to understand it something differently. You can see it from different perspectives. So how many ways can you see something that used to seem so simple? It's right or wrong, and it's black or white. It's a very simple thing. And we're going to go to a bit of an extreme here, because I want to show you how it shifts for everybody. Like when you see, this is a big thing, right or wrong, victim. Someone has to be at blame and someone has to be the victim. It's human programming all over the place. That's how our human works. That's how our human decodes a reality. It has to have one person responsible and one person has to be on the other end of it, the slighted end of it. We know when we're in victim energy because we're on the slighted end of it. We never, until we get to certain aspects of higher consciousness, we can't see ourselves as the person who caused the incident. Even though technically on a soul level we were supposed to. That's when we get into forgiveness. We have to forgive ourselves for doing those things. We have to say, okay, I was in my human aspect, I didn't know any better, and I was also in a soul contract to do these things. So I didn't do them intentionally to hurt someone, but that's what happened. So we have to kind of let all that stuff go too. So when we are into something and entrenched into something, and we can only see one way, we have to go deeper than that. We have to see, why is it one way? Like if I look at someone on TV who was killed, you see the mass shootings all over the place, and everyone always wonders, why does it have to be kids? Why does it have to be, or animal cruelty? Why do these things keep popping up? Because it's the stuff that gets to us. It's the stuff that upsets us. It's the stuff that still gets in there. So the collectives can clear anger, blame, victim mentality. That's why. If these things didn't get to us, then they would not happen that way. But they have to happen that way because those are the things that get to us. There's certain types of violence that kind of enrages different collectives to clear anger and to clear the victim energy out. And there's certain things people don't pay that much attention to. There are certain things that it doesn't get to. Kids and animals are a big trigger, and that's why things happen to kids and animals. So when you see some of this stuff on TV or even wherever, and we're very desensitized now to violence. And that's another reason why things have to get ratcheted up, because the one-on-one kind of stuff doesn't bother us that much anymore. The mass stuff kind of bothers us. It gets to us. We connect more. We're open more to animals and children than we are to people, to adults in a sense. So that's the reason. So when you start looking at why does that have to happen, that's why it has to happen. Why do we have to have mass wildfires? One, Gaia is clearing, and two, it gets people to start to clear. It gets people to feel sympathy. It gets, the sadness comes up. It's clearing all these emotions in the body. Everything is triggering something in the body. But if you can look at those fires and go, okay, well, that had to happen because of all these other reasons. If you look at a shooting, why did that have to happen? Well, technically, there's a soul contract for that person to be the shooter, these people to be the victims. It was all agreed upon ahead of time. It's supposed to push everyone into a clearing phase. Whether it's also a clearing phase of maybe that's not right. Maybe it shouldn't be allowed to be that way. Maybe we need to stand up for certain things that we don't feel are just anymore. It gets people to do that. It gets the collectives to do that. It gets us to do that. So all these things have to go down that way. But if you start assigning, there's no other way to see it. And when you can look at something like mass shootings, when you can look at something like disasters, and you can really, and you look at them and see these zillion reasons why they had to happen. Those are your higher aspects, looking at something. It is not, that's good, that's bad. If we're still in a that's good, that's bad, look at where you trigger that. Look at where you can look at and see a zillion reasons why it happened. Look at what you don't have the give on, where it, no, that's, I'm right, that's wrong, and I don't see why it had to go down that way. Anything you can look at and you'll see a billion reasons for it. It'll never be just one. It'll never be one reason why it happened that way. It'll never be one reason why it had to happen that way. There's always going to be a zillion reasons why something had to go down a certain way. And it's all for pushing everyone through ascension, pushing everyone toward an awakening, pushing everyone toward ascension. You know, we always look, when we look back at our journey, it's like, why did I have to lose some of the things I had to lose? Because we were too dependent on them. We cannot become sovereign beings if we don't want to let things go. If we want to be dependent on, I can't live without that. I can't live without that. The minute you have a, I can't live without fill in the blank, it will go. Whether it goes permanently or goes for a while, it will go because you can't be dependent on it. You know, we cannot be sovereign beings and be dependent on certain things. There's a lot of very black and white stuff as far as, you know, right or wrong. There's no gray areas anymore. Everyone kind of looks at it. It's interesting to watch the collectives look at some things are very fluid now, and other things are still very, no, that's right, that's wrong. But other things are more fluid. So you see some of it coming through, but it's still coming through from, there's still a me energy attached to even the fluidity now. There are gray areas now, but there's still a me to it. Anytime you can get back to a me to it, you're starting to decode your ego a little bit. You're starting to see how it works, starting to see how it works in other people. You're starting to see that, yeah, I know I'm in my ego now because I'm doing this. You know, so it's you're starting to transcend it in a sense where you can at least recognize it. And that's huge. Because for a while we just live it and we can't even recognize it. But because we're now activating other energy, we're activating other consciousnesses, we can start to see the difference. We can start to play that out. We can start to see why things had to be that way. It had to be that person. It had to be that situation. Because if not, I can't get here. It has to be that way. I mean, there is the old adage, my grandma used to say it, everything happens for the best, right? It's a human saying, but very true. A lot of our old sayings are very entrenched in, there's a higher perspective to all of them. You know, it does work out for the best, but it doesn't work out for our human best, because that's not where we're going. We're not going for our human best anymore. We are not going for making sure our human gets everything it wants. The human's not going to get everything it wants, but the human doesn't know what it wants. The human thinks it wants all these outside things, and that's not what it wants. It's not going to make it happy. Look how many times your human has grabbed for something thinking that's going to be the thing. Oh no, wait a minute. I didn't see that thing over there. Now that's going to be the thing. Or, oh, wait, hold it, over there. That's the thing. Because it's not doing any inside work. It's doing everything outside, thinking that's going to make it better. We are so separated off because we don't want to do the work to be able to bring everything inside, because there's so much human ego that we have to purge our human ego. We have to transcend it, but transcending it doesn't mean it goes away. People have this thinking it goes away, like our human ego is going to go somewhere. It doesn't go anywhere. It's still there. It's a teeny part of us. It'll flare up from time to time when we know we have work to do. So we have a program going on when our human ego is the first thing that comes in. We know it's there. You know, we know it's, and even when we're thinking about, oh, this happened last time, it's going to happen again this time. We have to really look at that too, because now we're bringing in old reality and we're trying to bring it forth again. You know, just because it happened 20 minutes ago, we're in a different reality now. It's not going to happen like that again. But we get so entrenched in it has to be that way, or it's going to happen again. That's why we keep recreating the same shit over and over and over. We bring it forward. It's enough to know it has happened. You know, I do get this aspect of this person, but maybe that's not what it's supposed to be. I know I have a friend that brings their dog over every time they come over, and my cats don't like the dog. And you can say, do we have to bring the dog every time? But it took me a while to be able to see that from it is an ego thing. We can get into that. And this seems like a very mild example compared to the ones we were just talking about. But it can just show you how many ways can I see this, but now I can see, well, the vibration of the home is very high. they need the dog to come because it helps their vibration. Animals raise their vibration. It gets them where they can be in the house longer because they have the animal with them. And you'll start to see that a lot. You know, people might not want to come in your house because once the vibration of the house gets high enough, it'll be too much. And they they unconsciously know that it's too much. So I've had a lot of people say, "Oh, I can't. I'm allergic to a cat. I can't come in." Or I'll stay outside, and you can just bring me whatever it is. So we don't take that stuff personal. It's not a shot against us. Is it also a way to stand in your power and say, "Look, I'm going to ask you not to bring the dog, or you're not going to be invited back in anymore." They're different. You have to figure out where you are on that spectrum. What can you see? What are you still seeing as one way or the other? You know, and why? These are the places we have to go. These are the things we have to uncover. It's not just saying that and moving on. There will be some people you'll encounter that are going to say that and that's it. But they're not ready to do the next thing yet. It's not their time yet to do the next thing. Now, do you need those people around? That's going to be your decision to decide. When I have someone so entrenched in a human aspect, so entrenched in the human consciousness, they're not fun to be around when you're not there anymore. But is there a reason I'm here? Do I have a soul agreement to be here? Is there stuff I'm working through while I'm here? Is it providing me a home? Is it providing me, money to come in for while I'm in this phase? But I know a line long term, it's not. We have to look for those things. We have to unearth those things. We have to be our own archaeologists and dig through our own stuff. And stop looking out there for someone else to do it for us or someone else to, say it's okay. The human will always game the system. Anytime anything human traumatic would happen, I could call 8 people and get 8 different opinions, but I know who to call to get the one I wanted. If I want a softer opinion, I call this person. If I wanted the hard ass opinion, I call that person. Because the human doesn't want to make any choices. It doesn't want to have to settle on one thing. It wants to be able to blame other people if it goes awry. So look at where you see advice. Where are you seeking it? Are you still seeking it? Are you seeking it from outside still? Because once we start our awakening and our ascension, we go inside to seek guidance. Yes, can we be activated by things outside? Yes. And we use those things outside for activation, but they're not crutches. If they become crutches, then it's not aligned anymore. They have to be activations. But as our human, we would use them for crutches. And a lot of the fourth dimension, we use a lot of this stuff as more like crutches in the beginning. And then we start to be able to move away where when we get to the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th dimensions, they're activations, but they're not crutches. We don't have to have them. If they're there, that's great. But we become that way with everything in our environment. If they're there, that's great. If they're not there, I'm still going to have peace and happiness and joy and bliss and create my reality. It doesn't matter if they're there. It would be nice, but it's not a have to. It's not a have to. So, okay, I'm going to leave on that today and keep practicing the art of intuition.